Yo, what's up, guys? Jetxc here, and we've got new Snowbreak drama that happened, and a lot of you have probably seen it already, but I wanted to wait to get some full perspective. I wanted to reach out to my CN contacts just to talk about it from the CN perspective, and it's pretty interesting, but I want to say one thing, right? There's a lot of people on like the Gotcha Gaming subreddit and other Reddits that are completely like shitting on the game because they think it's about like removing male characters because they saw that they're not putting male characters in there anymore, and they're just like they're kind of bashing the game because it's just like, oh my god, like there's just so much drama. Don't these guys understand? They keep catering to these fans and they're just going to keep wanting more and more and more. That's not the issue. It's not the issue at all. Like it's actually beyond the issue. First off, Snowbreak has some of the best devs ever. Full stop. Literally, I've never seen more responsive and more caring devs than in Snowbreak than a lot of other Gotcha games. What happened here was the story was just bad. Plain and simple. So I'm going to read this real quick. Sorry for the small font, but let me zoom in here. So, in creation and review of the main storyline for version 2.3, Seeking the Wind in the North, that's a rough translation, the relevant production team members made serious mistakes, resulting in a huge deviation from the style of Dust White Forbidden Zone, rough translation there too, and the final content presentation. We deeply regret and apologize for the bad experience caused. To the analyst, after urgent discussion, the production team will make the following handling of the plot copyright issue. So essentially, they're going to fix it as soon as possible, right? Now, they fired the guy that was responsible for the new event, and we'll get into that too. But I want to highlight a comment that I actually saw a couple days ago that had a good summary of things after I looked into it personally. So here's what happened in the story. Let me briefly explain why CN Snowbreak community is angry with the new main storyline. The new main storyline has the following issues. The interactions between Yao and Adjutant are very strange. Inappropriate timing for kissing from Adjutant and Yao's resistance to Adjutant contradict the previous story. Guys, there's scenes in the story where the characters that are so close to Adjutant, like Yao, are adverse to him. Right? Usually in the story, we see them flirtatious. We see them all hugged up on each other, like with the recent trailer. Right? Same thing with Yao and Freesia. They were all kind of just not necessarily begging, but they're all in Adjutant's face. They're trying to get their own attention. Freesia gets jealous. So the actions of the characters that we know in the story don't make any sense. It's like Finny in life all of a sudden acting like they really don't like Adjutant like that, essentially, right? Number 2, the villain engages in sexual intercourse with the enemy, which can transform into someone else. Now, this is the maiden character. Roseanne sent one of the, I don't know how to pronounce it still. It's like Demiurge or Demigorgon. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it, right? But it's those little monsters that can essentially camouflage, right, as other people. I believe this happened in, what's her name? Agave's event story, right? The final boss was somebody disguised as somebody else. So essentially what happened is they transformed to someone else, and what they transformed into was Finny and Life. And the scene was basically, it was like he explains, CN thought it was very meaningless and disgusting, right? It was just bad. Poor taste, I guess is the word for it, right? 3, using derogatory homophones to address Yao. So apparently Yao's name in Chinese is close to the meaning of prostitute. So there were jokes that were made in regards to that. So the writer even recognized this and emphasized it in the story. Number 4, the villain kills a child in the story, also meaningless and disgusting. So essentially what happened was there was a kid, and I'll try and put like images up, that was helping the villains. I think they were leading them to like a city or village, and then what happens is after she leads them to it, she gets killed, right? So a lot of it just didn't make any sense here, right? So I'm gonna kind of move on here to Vikyush. Shout out to Vikyush as usual, and he kind of goes into what happens next, which is following the next day, Chong Chong on the left and Moo Moo on the right, they do a live stream to talk about everything. So I'm just going to read a little bit of what he says. The stream started off with Kang Kang, the head writer who also wrote the anniversary patch story. He was not responsible for writing this event story. He and other staff members were busy working on future content. Updates are worked on 3 patches in advance normally, including having version 2.5 fully voiced. This leads to tasks being split up to be worked on individually with less collaborations. He did confirm the general concept and direction of this event story with the writer assigned to it, but left the writer unsupervised due to him being busy. So this was like a writer that went rogue, right? He takes responsibility for not having more oversight during the production process, saying that there are no excuses for this. He asked for the blame to be put on him and will personally be working to fix the perceived issues with the story. Okay, and I'll just read a little bit more here and then we'll kind of move on. Kang Kang admitted that he was overconfident about the writer assigned to the chapter. Hang on guys, let me fix that. Sorry about that, Discord in the background. Assigned to this chapter's story and how reliable they were, with this being an incident that he would remember forever. So they deeply regret what happened. He also debunked the conspiracy theory that apparently there was circulating about higher-ups at CSUN taking over Li Hu Mao, which is basically the big boss. The specific subsidiary company responsible for developing and working on Snowbreak, no, Moo Moo did not get fired. Okay, so I'm kind of going to move on here and summarize some other stuff. So they also kind of, all of them just apologize essentially. And then there's been circulations going around that Chong Chong, again, Chong Chong on the left, Moo Moo on the right were fired. But the decision to show their faces thanks to the camera was also to debunk alleged conspiracy theory about them being fired and replaced with AI voices. That's kind of funny, not going to lie. CN players did not like Shin Yi, a new character introduced in this event, allegedly due to a moment in the story where she steps on the male NPC while barefoot. Now, I immediately stopped here because I was like so confused. I'm like, wait, why would that like be an issue, right? And so I hit up my contact. I've got like a CN contact. He's in all the forums. Bailey, what's it called? The other one is called, it starts with the T, but you'll have to forgive me. I think it's like Taibe, but I might be pronouncing it wrong. But I asked him the question, right? I mentioned, and I'll put up screenshots, CN players are apparently, or I basically repeated what Vicky said here. So CN players apparently did not like Shin Yi, a new character introduced in this event, allegedly due to a moment in the story where she steps on a male NPC while barefoot. So this person says, and this is a guy that I've used in my other videos too, well, not so accurate. She had something dangerous, which refers to diminishing the adjutant. So basically, and his English is a little not the best, but she said a bunch of things that were dangerous about the adjutant. Essentially, the reason why Shin Yi is most likely going to be deleted as a character, by the way, which is something that they said they're going to run a poll on because of what transpired with her. So the thing that she said that was dangerous in the story, Shin Yi, which a character that will most likely be deleted. However, after Q&A, they'll do a poll on whether people want to keep her, which I think people will. She's just going to be rewritten completely. But essentially, she mentioned to the adjutant, oh, you must have some naughty or nasty tricks to collect so many beautiful girls in your team in the 2.3 story. She's insinuating that the adjutant used nasty tricks, aka unflattering ways like deception, manipulation, and using love drugs to have these girls being in love with them, right? Which, again, as we know, it's not even close to being the truth. But this also kind of puts another nail in this story's coffin, because there is a moment where Yao actually avoids a kiss from the adjutant. So if I can bring it up here. So he just briefly mentions the step on the NPC scene is linked to Yao's refusal to kiss basically adjutant, and also a shot at male NPC's sex ability. That's another issue. So again, the character Yao was completely everybody was out of character. It didn't make any sense. We even see in the trailer for this new event Yao all over the adjutant, right? So a lot of this stuff didn't make sense, and it turned into unnecessary insults and insinuations because of how Yao was acting when she doesn't even act that way towards the adjutant, and she would never do that, right? So that's where this kind of got crazy with the Shin Yi character, right? So now if we keep moving on, I did mention how Yao in the story, her name is kind of linked, or it sounds like the word prostitute in Chinese or Mandarin. And yeah, so a few other things I want to mention. So let's actually go over the Q&A portion here, because I think I really went over everything as best I could. So I'm going to mention this, and then I'm also going to bring up a few other things too for you guys. So here we go. After all the talk, the host started reading chat addressing various concerns. Is Freesia Turbo being buffed? The devs are aware that she isn't exactly wowing players and said that we will be collecting feedback for future buffs. Okay. Don't stress out too much about having fully voiced stories. Essentially, Chong Chong replied with, look, I made a promise. We're going to try and have fully voiced by 2.5. How big is the Snowbreak team? Development is around 100 people. Okay, cool. SSR Nita when? It's being worked on, but won't release until next year, right? And remember, they should be taking like feedback from the players about SSR Nita. Okay. So next, is anything going to be changed with Yao? Likely referring to the issue in the story. Yao is potentially getting changes, possibly with regards to the story, minor changes to her name and her personality. No specific details were given, but there's supposedly aiming to keep it consistent with pre 2.3 Yao. So Yao, she's kind of got the personality where she's like tired a lot. She's kind of lazy in some ways, but she still likes the adjutant, right? So they may change her name due to the derogatory terms that was used for her, just to make people forget about that. And we'll just have to see what happens. They also, I'm gonna skip this one, but they ask about the the plasma card for Freesia. If you're running into trouble having content ready in time, why don't you just make patches longer? And essentially the reason they don't want to do that is they don't want to bore players. How's progress on logistics stat farming improvements? Logistics stat rolling quality of life will be added in 2.4. Any plans for better gun sound? Soon. What took so long to respond to the complaints? Staff were still handling the drama and figured out a response. So I'm not really going to get too much more into that. And then a guy said, hey, wait, I like Shin Yi though. So what they said was, changing their minds on removing her, said they would run a poll about whether she would be kept in the game with the account level requirement to filter out bot accounts and trolls. So I think this is how they're going to do surveys from now on too. When it comes to things like this, they're going to have an account restriction level, so they make sure that players who actually play the game can answer important questions like these, right? So now a couple things that you guys need to know, and let me see if I can find anything. Okay, here we go. So there was some pattern watercolors with Cyrus's costumes, and players were asking for that to be kind of added. So they're going to fix an issue with Cyrus's costume. They're also, for Enya, apparently we will swiftly address any graphical elements with Enya, essentially. We will also do comprehensive checks for similar graphical issues to prevent a reoccurrence. So I guess there's some graphical issues with her costume. I'm not too sure myself. But we're going to get a slightly altered version of Cyrus's costume matching the artwork that was shown for her, and Enya should be graphically enhanced, I guess. Now, they did put in the reward box, or in the mailbox, you can get either a weapon selector, 5-star, or an operative 5-star, and I think it's for units all the way up to 1.7. So that you guys should already find in your mailbox. Other than that, I think the other thing that they mentioned, oh yeah, official merchandise is in the planning stages, and we're working diligently to bring it to you as soon as possible. And I think, oh, okay, lastly, we are also currently considering specific adjustments to optimize the type and quantity of rewards in the pass system. Okay, and that's really about it. And I want to touch on something too, right? Because they actually did mention that for male NPCs, this is the last big thing. For male NPCs, there will be no new male NPC characters will be added to the storyline starting from 2.3 onward. Additionally, no storyline or visual representations involving male NPCs will be depicted. We will completely eliminate inappropriate or ambiguous scenes involving characters other than the protagonist. Now, I get it. CN, what are you thinking? This isn't necessarily CN. This is Snowbreak. This is CSUN trying to avoid future issues. So, again, I know a lot of people like to shit on Snowbreak because they think CN just hates male characters, but it's a combination of things, right? So I asked my CN bro here. I basically want to get his opinion on what CN players think of the whole no male NPCs, because there are characters in the game that are male. Some of the villains are male. Some of the people we work with that are on the team are male. So what do they think about this, right? So he essentially says it's extreme, but they have no other choice. Due to the harm left by that writer, it's very dangerous to let the male box have sexability in a harem game. And I think essentially what he's trying to say is it's dangerous. And again, his English isn't the best, right? It's dangerous to have male characters in the game because if something like this, like a small mistake were to arise where they miss something and we get some unnecessarily unintentional scene and it just so happens to involve a male character, it could be huge drama again. And it's due to past issues with other gacha games, similar to like Girls Frontline 2. That's the one he brought up, and other gacha games out there when it came to like issues with male characters, right? So it's not necessarily that the CN players just hate men. That's not it. There's drama that's happened in other gacha game communities, and it kind of spread throughout other Master Love type games to where, oh, we don't want this drama, so let's just do all female. Now again, does it suck? Sure. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter. No, because it's, again, you guys know me, I don't really take gacha game stories too seriously. Like, it is what it is, right? If they replace everybody, they replace everybody, but I can understand why it's ridiculous, but they've got no other choice. Now, that's really about it. The majority, I just want to say the majority of Snowbreak drama has mostly been censorship. And now we get this with the whole thing and the writer, and it's unfortunate. This year for Snowbreak has been rough, but I really hope this just like stops everything, because it's just crazy. Again, guys, this story event was just bad. It was bad overall, and that's really all I have to say about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that entire segment and my diggings on everything. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later.